Hey there, welcome to Hamstring Maintenance. If you're new to the channel, hello, it's good to have you here, and if you're returning, welcome back. So this isn't like a yoga class. This is really short, snappy, hopefully, just quick hamstring maintenance kind of drills, aiming to keep this to under 15 minutes so that you could do it potentially, every day or 3 days a week. There are a few things that you will need prop-wise, so you might need to pause and go and grab them and come back. So the first one is a ball. So I've got a myofascia ball here, but any kind of ball is cool. So tennis ball, well, no, not any kind of ball is cool. A football won't work, but a small ball that you can kind of fit in your hand. So a golf ball, which will be really tough, tennis ball, a dog's ball, a small one. Basically, the firmer it is, the more we'll get into the foot. So grab one of those. I have a like beanbag back thing. You have these a lot in yoga, so if you're a yogi, you might have one. If not, grab yourself quite a thin but rolled up blanket. We'll want to be putting it at the small of our back when we're lying down. So it doesn't need to be like a big thick blanket, but just something you can roll up to make roughly this kind of thickness. So you'll need that. A strap, if you don't have a yoga strap, teachers always say this, if you don't have a yoga strap, then you could use a belt. It needs to be long though, preferably as long as your leg so that it can hook onto the bottom of your foot and you can still grab it. So whatever you've got that will work with that, like a bathrobe, belt, I don't know why I'm making the movement, and then blocks. And again, yoga teachers, we all love saying, oh, if you don't have blocks, you can use books. And I'm not sure I really buy into that for most of the things we use blocks for. But if you don't have blocks, just try and find two things of roughly equal height. So maybe two really, really thick books will do. So that is all the stuff that we will need. So maybe go and hit pause, grab these things or some equivalents, and then meet me back here and we will get started. Okay, cool. So let's start with the ball. So what we will do is come to stand, or you can sit, like on a stool or something, or a chair, and place the ball down, and then just stand on the ball and then just start rolling. So what we're trying to do here is just work into any bit of tightness, anywhere where the underside of the foot might feel a little bit sticky. So we'll do this for roughly 90 seconds. And what we're doing is just trying to release any tension in the fascia, because that starts at the foot, it goes all the way up, right the way to the skull in the body. So if the underside of your foot is really, really tight, your hamstrings are gonna, it's not gonna make you go from like really tight hamstrings to being able to do whatever, but it definitely will release. So, about 60 seconds, just getting into it, rolling around, finding the little interesting points. And then when you do find an interesting point, you kind of want to get in there for about 30 seconds. So sticking with it, lifting and pressing down, changing the intensity. So once you've done that one foot, switch feet. Ooh, mine doesn't want to stay. And then do that again. So we'll go for around 90 seconds here. So yeah, the fascia that we have, someone once described this to me, and I don't eat meat, so it's pretty minging, but someone described the fascia as a bit like that skin you get on a chicken breast before you cook it. It's almost like cling film, and that's kind of wraps all over the body's muscles, ligaments and tendons as like one big sheet. So imagine if you cut yourself open, there's like this massive sheet of cling film. And so, basically if you're really, really tight in the underside of the foot, it could mean that it's restricting, your ability to stretch through muscles that all connect all the way up. And obviously it starts at the feet and it works all the way. So it's a good thing to stretch this out a little bit. You can go to professionals to have proper myofascial release. This is just a real sort of quick, non-professional way of just maybe releasing a little bit of tension and just encouraging a bit of opening. We've got about 10 more seconds, so pick somewhere that feels a little bit icky and then keep working on it. And then when you're ready, we'll stop. You can take the ball to the side and then come down onto the mat. So come into kind of like a low lunge. So you want front foot, so we'll start with the right, front foot forward, back foot roughly hip distance. So you don't want to be on a tight rope here. And then start to straighten a little bit this front leg. Now we don't want to go, you can go completely straight. What we want is roughly for the butt to track over the knee of the back leg. So we're not wanting to be here or kind of here. We're looking for a little bit of a sweet spot so that you roughly have it tracking. I like to to tuck the back toes as well. And then what we'll do is just start to put a little bend in this right leg. You don't need blocks at this point, so if you can come down onto the fingertips, great. What we are looking to avoid is this. So we've got these natural curves in the lumbar. We want to try and leave them there. And then that means that we are kind of targeting the hamstring and not targeting the lower back for the stretch. So, you know, if that means popping a generous bend in the knee so that you aren't kind of doing this hunch thing, or if it means bringing the blocks on whatever height to just bring the ground a bit closer to you. We want to lift the chest. We want to be compressing at the hip and feeling a stretch. So really strongly flex those right toes back. Strongly press in the heel in and start to drag the heel back. Imagine that you're trying to suck this thigh bone back into the hip socket. You can see that I'm shaking a little bit there with that intensity. Find a good height for your blocks. Have your tail, your sit bones kind of sticking up a bit and not going down. And, you know, pop a little bend. I think having a little bend here is probably optimal because then you're really getting a little bit of compression at the hip, working that hip flexor, but you're also getting the stretch to the hamstring. You want to feel the stretch through the body of the meaty bit of the hamstring, not at the knee or the butt. So if you feel it at the knee or the butt, keep adjusting until you do not. Nice. Cool. Okay, then from here, maybe bring your blocks in a little bit, and then we're just going to lift and hold. So from here, really engage and lift the leg. Hold in here, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, release, it's a killer. I know, drag the foot back. So what we're wanting to avoid there is kind of coming all the way upright so that we could lift the foot. It's not really about lifting the foot, so we're going to do the same on the other side to set yourself up. It's not so much about lifting the foot, it's just about having that activation through the muscles. So if the foot doesn't lift, it doesn't lift, but you're really going to be driving up. So you're trying to suck back that thigh bone into its socket so it can lift. So again here, we're just going to take this nice Ardha Hanumanasana, we would call this in yoga, but I mean, actually I put this little vid together for my best mate who's a CrossFitter. Crazy. They're a crazy bunch. The stuff she can do is just insane. But yeah, she wanted something to lengthen her hamstrings because obviously when you do a lot of weight and a lot of running, then you can get a bit tight in the ham knees. So keep really driving that right heel down and dragging back. So we're trying to keep the hips nice and neutral. We're lifting up through the chest. We've got that natural, lovely lumbar arch there. A little micro bend in the knee or a big bend, whatever you need is cool. Keep breathing. Nice. I'm going to be here for about 30 more seconds and then we will try that lift of the foot. Now you know what's coming. It's probably not enjoyable. But keep working on tilting the sit bones up. The more you tilt the sit bones up, the more you're going to feel that stretch in the hamstrings. And again, don't worry about coming down really low. worry more about this activation, so the sucking back analogy there. One of my teachers on my teacher training, Colin, she says try and scrub the heel back, which I always think is an awesome cue. Okay, so either change the height of the blocks if you need a bit more height for what's coming, maybe bring them back towards you, and then when you're ready, really engage through the whole leg and then lift the foot. We're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release, let it go. You can tell that is not one of my favorites. Okay, pop the blocks aside, grab your kind of equivalent of this little soft beanie bag, so, you know, a blanket will do. I'm just conscious that I'm going to be in the sunlight there, and it is already very warm here today. So come down onto your back. I'm just going to pop the timer next to me so that I can see it. So come down onto the back, and then just feel for yourself that if you sit lie kind of neutrally here, then you've got that curve in the lumbar. And you know, depending on how much muscle you've got or how much you've got going on, you know, that curve may be really, really obvious, and it may not be, but you do have that natural curve. And what tends to happen, similar to half split, once we start to stretch, we lose the curve, and then we're kind of, the top of the hamstring, which is inserting or attaching to the sit bones, is dragging down because we're trying to pull, and then we're stretching the lower back. So the reason we've got this, whether it's your kind of, you know, towel or blanket that you've just rolled up, it's just so that you've got some feedback. So when I have that there, I can still have the natural curve of my lumbar, but I'll soon know if I start bearing down on it. So from here, you can either have the left leg bent or long. It'll be a little bit more intense if you have it long. And then you're going to take whatever you've got, whether it's your strap or your belt or whatever, and then take it. I like to wrap the hands around it, and then, you know, start to lift it up and just start to feel your way into it. If it feels good to straighten it, you can. We'll just warm it up a little bit by taking the foot away from the face and taking it in. So we'll do this for a couple of seconds, and then we're just going to hold the stretch. The key thing to hold in the stretch is when you go too far, whatever you've got in your lumbar, you're going to start to bear down on it, and you kind of don't want to be touching it. You want to keep that lovely integrity. So from here, you can make the hands higher up or lower down the strap, and then on an inhale, just start to draw the foot towards the head and lifting the shin. So we don't really want to be lifting the head off. We don't really want to be lifting the shoulders here. We want everything grounded. We do not want this left hip to lift. So if you start to go off to one side, then you kind of go in wayward. So bring the foot so it's directly over kind of the right lung or the right rib cage. Really strongly flex that foot, and then we're just holding it here. So if you start really strongly bearing down on whatever is on your lumbar, just come out of it a bit. If you're really heavily bearing down, then you've gone too far, and you're getting more of a stretch into other muscles than you are into the hamstrings. And seeing as this is a hamstring maintenance session, we want to get it into those hamstrings. So once we've been here for a while, you might find that you can draw that foot a bit closer to you. Keep breathing. If it does feel like really, really intense, or like your knee is locking out, and just keep popping a micro bend in it and then re-straightening. And actually the micro bend can stay the whole time. We want the stretch to be targeted at that hamstring or the hamstrings of the right leg, and not anywhere else. I mean, I feel like I'm getting a bicep workout as well, but probably because I'm not, you know, not someone that usually lifts weights. Let's do 20 more seconds here, and then we'll switch legs. Keep drawing the toes back towards the shins. 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, start to unwind, and then just let that foot go. Maybe just lift it and drop it a couple of times just to let it all go. And then bend the knee and switch legs. So bending the left foot in, creating your little lasso with whatever you're using. And then you can start by just taking a few like gentle lifts and lowers just to get into it, get into the motion. And then when you're ready, we're gonna come all the way up. So take the hands as high as you want them to be. And then I like to, as I say, double wrap, just gives me some good grip. Really strongly flex the foot. You can flex the foot of the bottom leg for a bit of work in that unstretched leg, but the main thing is we're not bearing down onto the back. So we've got the integrity of the lower lumbar, and we're just drawing the toes towards the face, imagining that they're going to kick you in the face, drawing the shin kind of directly over. You kind of want this leg coming directly out of the hip socket, not going off to one side or the other for this stretch. That is a great stretch to go off to one side or the other, but for this one we just want to focus on the primary muscles, which are the hamstrings. We're not looking to get into anything else just now. So we're going to stay here for about another, I'm going to say 90 seconds. I think we're aiming to do roughly 3 minutes on each side. And again, you're grounding everything in, you're keeping those hips square, you're not letting the right leg roll to one side or the other. You're not lifting the left butt cheek off the floor. You're kind of still staying in contact, but you just go into your edge. And this shouldn't be like killing you. So if you get to your edge and it's like, this is really, like my teacher used to say, if it's 8, don't come to me until it's 8 out of 10, but he was brutal. So maybe like 7 out of 10 in terms of the stretch. So we want to put the muscle under stress and tension. That's how it's gonna, you know, growth through the struggle. That's how it's gonna lengthen, but we don't wanna break it. So find your sweet spot. And you may feel like after a while, you could go a bit deeper into this. Here for another few seconds. This is a great thing to do as a warm-up. So if you're going to do, you know, if you are a CrossFitter, you're a runner, then this is a good thing to do before that, or just a good thing for anyone to do, you know, a couple of days a week, you know, preferably 3. And you could do this, once you've done this once with me and you know what you're doing, you could just be watching telly or watching, I don't know, whatever. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. Let's let it lower and lift again, just to give it a little bit of release. Should feel nice. And then bend the knee, release that, and then you're done. I hope you found it useful. I hope your hamstrings feel lovely and long, like you could go and be a gymnast. And yeah, if you enjoyed, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Drop in the comments how you got on, and we will see you back on the channel soon.